This is Blackram313. I want to share a few thoughts about the nature of women. There are many videos in the so-called manosphere about this particular subject. I just want to add briefly my 2 cents on the subject. The first thing that jumps out on me when I think of the nature of women is their inferiority. Inferior relative to men. I am not an egalitarian, as I mentioned before. Men and women are not equals, and our lives intersect in our humanness. But when you're talking about the mind of man and the mind of woman, there are vast differences. And some of these differences I wish to point out during this video. When you think of women, the first thing that you would observe about women is that they are highly subjective. And what I mean by this is that she only sees the world in direct relationship to herself. She does not see herself in relation to the rest of the world. For her, the world exists simply to please her and as an extension of her. Therefore, her thoughts and feelings alone, based on this subjectivity, dictates her reality. This subjective behavior, attitudes, and thoughts, of course, is narcissistic. And this narcissism clouds her judgment and is the main reason why women are irrational and without reason. Thus, she cannot be trusted. She doesn't have the capacity to lead because she can't think outside of herself. She believes the world simply exists to serve her. Therefore, self-sacrifice is impossible. She looks to be sacrificed for and to. A woman's ever-changing feelings, which is exclusively always about herself. And these feelings are ever-changing. Changing to a degree that loyalty and commitment is indeed a foreign concept in her mind. As the wind blows, so does her thoughts and ideas and feelings change. Female solipsism and narcissism is so pronounced that a woman can't take anything seriously outside of herself. For her feelings are the most serious thing on the planet. And everything and everyone must understand this in relation to her. And everyone and everything must tread lightly as not to violate her feelings, her personal feelings. So whether you have a contrary idea, contrary statement, if her feelings are offended, then this is a great crime. You ever talk to a woman and try to have a serious conversation? Any serious analysis, any empirical evidence, any statistics given to support your claim, any realistic look at the world is quickly discounted by women as being negative. In anything contrary to her own worldview, which her worldview is herself. Her worldview is her comfort. Her worldview is her pleasure. Anything that contradicts this, she will quickly count the discussion and the individual as being negative. And this is why the shaming tactics, this is why women always use the common rebuttal, which is not a rebuttal at all, that your thoughts and feelings that doesn't align with her narcissism, you're shamed by the term that you're just bitter, or that you're just hurt, or you're just angry. As if one cannot divorce themselves, being men, from themselves and look at the world objectively. And she is so subjective that she believes that everybody else must be subjective also. And any empirical evidence must be biased. This is an automatic disconnect from rational and logical thinking. For most women are devoid of rationale. This can be probably the reason why women love comedy so much. Because nothing can be taken seriously outside of herself. Her life is about laughing. Her life is about entertainment. And any serious work that she does is only to benefit her. Because to her there are no others. Her and her children, maybe to a point. But no one else exists. No one else is important. Only her thoughts, feelings, and ideas exist. This could be part of the reason why women can't get along with themselves. And if we really look close, women can't stand their own self. Her mind is constantly bombarded with thoughts of herself. This leads to confusion because her day-to-day activities are so entrenched with her own thoughts and ideas. It's almost as if she cannot see other human beings. This is female nature. And what is romance when it comes to women? As we all know, women are not romantic. They are the romanced, and men are the romancers. And romance is simply an artful, clever way to kiss a woman's ass, to flatter her, to stroke her ego, to pedestalize her, to worship her. Making her feel special is the goal of romance. Making her feel like she's the center of the world, because in her mind she should be and is the center of the world. What women want is all out worship. And as a greedy God, as an ancient Babylonian God, an ancient Canaanite God, an ancient Aztec God, whose bloodlust is unquenchable, her insatiable appetite for attention, her insatiable appetite for flattery, her insatiable appetite to feel good about herself, causes men never to cease in his praise to her. She must be flattered without ceasing. And even then, the female appetite is never satisfied. So men often spend their lives with one goal and purpose in mind, which is to please the female. Because in her nature, she must, and she desires, first and foremost, to receive pleasure at all costs. She wants to be desired by men and envied by women. She is the personification of selfishness, materialism, and manipulation. Manipulation due to the fact that her narcissistic ways of thinking herself to be perfect and angelic when no one is perfect and angelic. Because of this flawed thinking of herself to be a god, thinking of herself to be perfect, she often lacks introspection. Introspection is foreign to her, because in doing so, you must look deep inside the self and discover your own humanity. And humanity can be very ugly. But she is a creature who thinks of herself only as being beautiful. And the one moment or moments when she thinks of herself as unbeautiful, for her, it is the end of the world. Any disappointment, any sort of contradiction to her nature, her solipsistic nature, ends up as a tragedy, and she will rebel and fight against anyone who conflicts with her ideal of her perfect self. She has no love for others, speaking of men, but she can only love herself. She is so self-absorbed that her mind has no room for other matters. She has no hobbies or interests. Only pleasure to herself. And since she can't think outside of herself, she lacks intelligence. For intelligence causes one to analyze the world and not only see reality from one's own point of interest, but also in the interest of others. For most women, this is almost an impossibility because she ignores the world at large. Only what suits her and what is beneficial. The consequence of this is that we have a creature that is unworthy of trust. For how can one trust such vain of a creature? A heinous creature who only seeks self-gratification. And to love such a creature, to desire to be equal with such a creature, is a desire to be a damn fool.